What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome on into the show. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I have a take around the quarterback position, Carson Wentz, J.J. McCarthy, and I got a feeling that a lot of people won't like. And that take being this: even if Carson Wentz starts, this next 3-game stretch and he goes 3-0, and the Vikings move to 4-1 on the season, I still truly believe that they should go back to J.J. McCarthy following that bye for that Week 7 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll explain my full thoughts on today's show, but I will say this is a tricky conversation. I'm not saying I'm completely right by thinking this. There is a lot to decipher. There's a lot to break down. There's a lot of moving parts in this conversation, but I truly believe even if Carson Wentz goes 3-0 over the next 3 weeks, you still have to turn the keys of the franchise back over to J.J. McCarthy. He is the starting quarterback. Carson Wentz is still a backup. There is a reason why he still wasn't signed with a team after the preseason. So we'll dive into all this on today's show, but let me ask you guys this, because some people are already done. I don't understand why. I disagree with it. I feel silly for even asking you guys this question. Are you done with J.J. McCarthy after just 2 starts? Stats don't look good. Eye test didn't look good. Are you willing to kick the tires on him? You guys, let me know your thoughts. Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below. Now, the main reason why I truly believe that they need to go back to J.J. McCarthy, even if Wentz starts 3-0, is because I think it would be more valuable for the Vikings this season to go 7-10 with J.J. McCarthy compared to 10-7 with Carson Wentz. You may be saying, well, Patrick, that's just ludicrous. Why would you want to lose 3 less games with J.J.? How could that be more valuable? Because J.J. McCarthy needs all the reps he can get. And I think him going through the growing pains and maybe the Vikings not getting to the playoffs, but still having J.J. McCarthy go through those experiences could be a lot more valuable. Because the Vikings in the past, it's just been stopgap quarterbacks. We have not had a franchise quarterback since damn near Fran Tarkenton. And over the last couple of years, since 2009, that's what the Vikings have been. And it's been fun. Like, the Sam Bradford, Case Keenum year, especially the Case Keenum year back in 2017. That was awesome. Made the NFC title game, but he got blasted in Philadelphia. You sort of had a franchise quarterback in Kirk Cousins for 6 seasons, but then you just turned it back over to a stopgap in Sam Darnold. You tried with Christian Ponder. That didn't work. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, injuries derailed his season. I thought the Vikings had something there, but point being, look at the quarterback since 2009. All these guys aren't with the Vikings anymore. So enough with the stopgap quarterbacks. That's also the biggest reason why I want them to turn back to JJ. And also this, let's just call it like it is. And maybe I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about this. But if they do go 3-0 with Wentz and they just say, hey, Wentz is going to be our QB for the rest of the season, we'll let JJ develop behind the scenes, you're still not going to win a playoff game. That's just reality of the situation. There are too many good teams in the NFC this year. There are too many good quarterbacks. Like, are you going to roll into, Tampa Bay wild card round and beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucks? Are you going to roll into Philly? Are you going to roll into Detroit? Are you going to roll into Green Bay or Los Angeles? Absolutely not. Now, I do fully expect Carson Wentz to play good football with the Vikings because that's been the MO for Kevin O'Connell. You got Josh Dobbs stepping in for a game. He got the most out of him. He, obviously got the most out of Kirk Cousins. He clearly got the most out of Sam Darnold this past season. So I fully expect Wentz to play good and the Vikings to win at least 2 of these next 3 games. But it gets back to this. J.J. McCarthy needs all the reps and experience he can because he was a traits quarterback. He was a developmental quarterback. And he is 22 years old. And fans, at the end of the day, they just need to be patient with him because there are going to be growing pains. And that's what we're experiencing right now. Like, J.J. struggled on Sunday night. He had a lot working against him. But also this, like, did you fans expect J.J. to just be dropped in the system and he looks like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes from day one, or even for him to look like what Sam Darnold looked like last year? Because I'll still get blown up all the time. Patrick, I told you they should have kept Darnold. They could have, signed Aaron Rodgers. We would have been better right now. Yeah, maybe we would have been better in September and October. But is that the goal? I thought the goal was to try to win playoff games. I thought the goal was try to peak at the end of the season, and we're going through it right now. And I tweeted this out the other day. Ended up getting a ton of traction on Twitter, And I stand by it. Everyone wants to watch a young QB develop until it is time to actually watch a young QB develop because it's uncomfortable. Like nobody likes this Vikings team, that won 14 games the previous year, and now they look like one of the worst offenses in the NFL for the first two games. But this is the point. This is the point of the whole process. Like people just need to be patient. And listen, if this was a different scenario, let's just say Christian Darrisaw was out there, Jordan Addison was there, and the Vikings were fully healthy and the offensive line was playing good, and it really was just J.J. McCarthy as the reason as why the Vikings offense was struggling, then I would maybe see out the other argument of, hey, turn the offense over to Carson Wentz if he's playing good. But look at all this that was working against McCarthy. You didn't have Jordan Addison. You didn't have Christian Darrisaw. You were on your third string left tackle. You were on your second string center. And I can pretty much say he didn't have TJ Hawkinson. He has looked bad. And you also had some shaky play calling, terrible offensive line play. And on Thursday, he had to miss practice because he became a dad. Now, obviously, that takes a lot away from his preparation. That takes a lot away from his film study. You got a brand new kid at home. Like, that's going to take away a lot of his focus. Now, the tricky part will be this. If the Vikings do go 3-0, and let's just say guys like Justin Jefferson has like 3 straight games over 100 yards, it is a tough sell to the veterans on the team that they're going back to J.J. McCarthy after the bye. Because they're probably sitting there saying, well, we were seriously struggling with J.J., and now Wentz comes in. He's 3-0. We're playing good football. That's a tough sell to the veterans. But again, you don't want to have this narrow, tunnel vision mindset. You got to think about the big picture. And JJ, even though I thought it was beneficial for him to, sit out all last year, understand the playbook, it's still tough to get those real in-game reps. Like you can practice all you want, but until you're out there like a primetime stage like he was the last 2 weeks, it's tough to get those experiences. And also, another tricky part is after the bye, schedule's brutal. So like again, this take I have, that's just truly what I believe. But again, I can see both sides of this argument. Like if you're 3-0 with Wentz, and then after the bye, you're like, oh, we're going back to JJ, and then it's at home against the Eagles. It's on the road against the Chargers, a very good defense, on the road against the Lions. Then you got the Ravens at home. Then you got another divisional game against the Bears. Like, this is a tough stretch for JJ to come back to. So I am hoping, ideally, JJ can start versus the Browns. Now, maybe he won't even make the trip over for the Steelers game, and he'll join the team, Monday after that Steelers matchup. But ideally, he starts against the Browns. He gets going a little bit. He has a better offensive performance. And then, week 7 against the Eagles, he can really get going. So hopefully he can only miss the next 2 weeks. But also this take out there's a lot of people throwing out the idea that JJ doesn't have an ankle injury. And this is just a soft benching from Kevin O'Connell. I think it's one of the worst takes out there. Like, truly, I do. This is not a soft benching situation. If JJ was healthy, there is no doubt in my mind he would be starting this next week against the Cincinnati Bengals. No doubt in my mind. But again, maybe with this ankle injury, maybe KOC ruled him out a little earlier in the week than he wanted to, just to let JJ, be at home with this kid. He doesn't want to put all that pressure on him of, really trying to rush his way back. So maybe that part of it I can somewhat understand, but to just say that this injury is fake and KOC is just having a soft benching for him, I think is ludicrous. So I'll ask you guys this. What would you do if Carson Wentz goes 3-0? I am very curious. Again, I wanted to do this video just to spark healthy debate in the comments section at the end of the day. So you guys let me know your thoughts. What would you do if Carson Wentz goes 3-0 over the next 3 weeks? Let me know your thoughts down below. Now we'll get to more on Wentz here in just a second, but today's episode of Vikings Now is brought to you by Prize Picks. And you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And if you guys download the Prize Picks app and plug in promo code CLNS, we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Now, it's also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And Prize Picks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Now, I got a little example of a lineup for this Thursday night game. You can take guys like, Jalen Waddle, more on his receiving yards. They also have a max discount on Patrick Mahomes. We're only one passing yard. We get you guys one win on Prize Picks. So if you guys want to take advantage, include that in all of your lineups. Take advantage right now. Best way to put some cash in your back pocket and put your football knowledge to the test. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's edition of Vikings Now. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, I also want to get this out there. A lot of negativity. People are waving the white flag, and they're acting like the season is over. And it's just driving me crazy. This team has caught the injury bug like none other in the NFL so far to start the year. You're without your starting quarterback. You're without your starting running back. You're on your third string left tackle, second string center. You lost Cashman. You lost Van Ginkel, probably your second and third most important players defensively. And people are just saying it's over. The Vikings are going to get a top 5 pick. It is driving me up the wall. We have not seen what this team can look like when they're fully healthy and they're fully humming on all 3 phases. And it's also this. We all talked about peaking at the right time. This whole offseason, everybody was telling me, who cares about winning regular season games? Who cares that Kevin O'Connell won 13 games year 1, 14 games year 3? And now we lose 1 game in September and the season is over? Like, come on. This football team has lost to 3 teams since week 1 of last season. Everybody's just got to be patient. You lose 1 game in September, and everybody's freaking out. Everybody is acting like this season is over. Just please relax. The NFL world changes week to week. It is the best soap opera TV show out there. You get a couple of wins, you get back on the saddle, and we'll be feeling differently about this football team here in a couple of weeks. It sucks right now, but you got to live in it. This is the process. It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows the entire season. But just because you lose 1 game in September, everybody thinks it's over? I think it's a little ludicrous. But let's talk about Carson Wentz here, because I will say, even though I had that take on the front end of today's show, I'm excited to watch Carson Wentz go out there and play, because I think he is, I'm going to say, perfect fit for this Kevin O'Connell offense if he is going to continue to call plays the same way. But KOC had this to say on Wentz. He's played a ton of football. He's carried teams on his back before. He is not going to need to do that. He's going to need to just go out there and simply do the things that he's widely capable of doing. And that part right there from Kevin O'Connell, he is not going to need to do that in terms of carrying teams. Maybe you should have had that same mindset with JJ. Because, and we'll do a video on this about the short, quick passing game. It's just non-existent. There's actually a concerning stat out there where the Vikings run quick game the least amount out of any team in the NFL by a wide margin. So you're going to ask Wentz to not do a whole lot, but you were kind of asking JJ to do a whole lot. But then also on certain drives, you have JJ just in handcuffs. Like, it was just too much flip-flopping over the first 2 weeks of the season. But I'll tell you what, Wentz is actually going to make history this Sunday. He's going to be the first starting quarterback to start a game in 6 straight seasons with 6 different teams, dating back to 2020 with the Eagles, where he played 12 games, 2021 with the Colts, played 17, he was with the Commanders, then he was with the Rams in 23, he was with the Chiefs this past season, and this feels eerily similar to Sam Darnold. Now, obviously a little different, like Darnold's a younger player, I think about 5 years younger than Wentz, but in terms of coming from where Darnold came from Kyle Shanahan, learned a lot from him in that Niners system. Well, Wentz just came from Andy Reid and Sean McVay the 2 previous seasons. So he's got that good coaching. Now he's going to join Kevin O'Connell on this team. And, there is one season I want to highlight for Wentz. Back in 2021, he was actually pretty damn good with the Colts. Had a 9-8 record, threw for over 3,500 yards, 27 tuds, 7 interceptions, had a QBR of 94.6. So clearly that ability is there with Wentz. It's not like, you're having a complete fall off where you're going from like JJ to like Desmond Ridder, for example. You still have a somewhat high-end backup quarterback, but in the end, I think this is a huge stretch for Kevin O'Connell because, coming off last year, winning Coach of the Year, everybody is hyping him up, saying he is a QB whisperer. I was too. I still believe he is that. But this is a huge stretch of games because if you drop, let's just say 2 or 3 Or let's say you lose to the Bengals and the Steelers, and you're 1-3, and then maybe you scrap together a win against the Browns, and then you're 2-3 heading into that brutal stretch. Like, it's just the NFL world can humble you very fast. Where then we could be talking about KOC in a completely different light. Where it's like, yeah, maybe you made the wrong decision. Maybe you shouldn't have moved off Darnold. There's just a lot of these questions will be answered over the next couple of weeks. Can KOC adjust? Can he lean more into the run? You got a backup quarterback. You still got injuries on the offensive line, and you're still without your second best wide receiver. So we'll see if KOC can adjust. But I'll ask you guys this. How are you feeling right now? Kevin O'Connell is the blank best head coach in the National Football League. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Also, hit me up on Twitter at PatSeeps, the handle. We'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.